songs, so they already hit each other's. And you just called it.
Good morning, everybody. Are we
Hey, are we
on?
live?
We
We
are
are.
live.
We're live.
We're live, all the way live. We hope everybody's doing well on this Expansion Sunday, right?
Expansion Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a great subject matter, a great topic. We're going to be having a little bit of a discussion today. Actually, just got off the phone with a friend, and she was talking to me about this particular subject matter, and I thought, man, this will be a good discussion for our Expansion Sunday today. Before we begin this discussion, if you are new to us, I trans channel an entity named Julius. And oftentimes in these discussions on Sunday, Julius comes through and talks a little wisdom on spirituality and our conscious expansive journey. Also sometimes it's just kind of Brad and I having a chat. So we want you to just sit back and have some fun and hopefully let these discussions get you thinking and inspire you on your conscious journey.
So is today going to be a chat, or is today going to be a...
If you are inspired by this show and you want to learn more about Julius's teachings, you may visit our website at expandwithjulius.com. There you can pick up all kinds of extraordinary videos and downloads and shows that we've been on covering an array of subject matters. And then of course we have courses and classes that you can purchase and really begin to engage your journey with Julius if you have the mind to do so. So please check out our website, and there's also a free gift there for you as well, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about the subject of how the way we think, creates the situations in the world around us, right?
How, let's see if we can rephrase that.
Yeah.
How what you think about creates the situation around you.
Mm-hmm. Or actually just basically your attitude, even about your own self, very much your thoughts and your emotions about yourself can create illnesses in our lives, chronic conditions in our lives, even situations like accidents, so-called accidents, and injuries, and then certainly can continue to play themselves out into the way our life unfolds with us, our jobs, our families, our living situations, our lack in so many areas of our lives. And it really starts with our emotions or the way we feel about ourselves and about thoughts, right?
Yeah, because you're an energetic being.
Mm-hmm.
And energy attracts energy.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
And if you don't believe that, then you don't understand physics.
Right.
Because that is a law of science, and the human body generates its own energy.
Right.
And that energy is generated through your thoughts.
Yeah.
And that gets transmuted throughout your body. That's what the brain does.
Right.
And that energy then goes out and leaves your body and attracts. You're like a magnet.
Right.
And all your energy then attracts energy of likened energy frequency.
Right.
Science knows this. They've proved this time and time and time again.
Right.
You don't need to be in the spirituality business or of any spiritual mind to understand that. You can be a scientific person and understand that you are an energetic being. Your cells produce energy. Your human body's made up of cells. It is a cellular structure. Mm-hmm. And all of that energy that's cycling through your body is producing energy, and you attract. Right. That energy to you.
Yeah, you're an energy conduit, and you attract energy, you secrete energy.
You secrete energy. So, as an energetic being, then it would make sense that what you are thinking about or what you are worrying about would affect your day or your life.
Yeah, but and it goes though even more. So let's talk just a little bit about what creates the energy that you are. Okay, we agree. Okay, but what is the variable between high frequency, low frequency, disrupted frequency, frequency flow, and continuity, okay? And many people will go to energy workers to balance or raise the energy of their field, but it constantly gets off kilter, out of balance, problems. So where does this frequency come from, okay? And how are we creating our energy? Well, there's many answers to that, but the biggest issue is your emotions, right?
Is that, I'm going to play the advocate here. Is that term emotion, is it the amplifier or the igniter that allows everything to happen throughout your body?
Yes. So everything begins with a thought. Everything comes from thought. In fact, we're going to support that thought is the most useful word to describe what God energy is. We support that God energy would be equal to thought. All thought, for everything comes from thought.
Well, I mean, let me quote a phrase that I've been known to quote for quite often is, you can't have a word without a thought.
Right.
Because words just don't produce themselves. You actually have to think about it and process it in order to create it as a word.
Right. So though it has been written that first there was the word, we support that no, first there is thought.
It's thought.
There is thought. So everything in your life comes from two things: the way you think and the way you feel about that thought. So emotion is thought in motion. Thought in motion.
In other words, energy motion.
Yep, it's
emotion.
The rocket fuel that gets a thought moving in your life. It moves the thought through your body, it moves the thought out of your body and attracts the other moving thoughts or opinions around you, and that plays itself out in your realities, okay? So everything begins with a thought, and as human beings, we have a tendency to come from a lot of limited thoughts, a lot of limitations in our families. Families usually have thoughts and opinions about themselves, about the world, about other people. There's a lot of anger and a lot of fear and a lot of resentment, a lot of paranoia. There used to be, and still can be, a lot of superstition thoughts in a family. So these all create fear. Okay? Even religions, of course, are wrought with fear-based theories and thoughts. And children, though coming, and this can all begin in the womb. Okay? So when a child is in gestation and the mother is full of fear and a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, that is already feeding that child on a cellular level an energy vibration. Okay?
Well, this is where all this new information that's coming out in the world, we've known about it for years and years, but the so-called DNA,
right,
it seems to be the new advancement that everybody's now finding out about. But if you actually understand what DNA is the chemical makeup or the cellular makeup.
Yeah, and it's the imprinting of
you get
thoughts.
Imprinted in your makeup.
Yeah, because in a family, thoughts are passed down. They just are. Thoughts and attitudes are passed down. They're passed down in different ethnicities. They're passed down in different cultures and different regions across the world. They certainly are passed down in economic structures in the world. And so they're fears. Basically, they're fears, and they get passed down generationally. Okay. When you reactivate a thought or a feeling or an attitude about a thought, you can energetically activate limited genetic patterns in your body, and chronic conditions can be birthed, okay, and create themselves. Unfortunately, patterns of thought get to be a habit. They really get to be a habit.
Well, and the listeners are going to say, well, you know, what are you talking about? How come? and I'm going to give you a perfect example. The brain. If you were to take a percentage of human beings that are on the planet right now and pulled their brains out of the top of their heads and looked at them and analyzed them, you would find that there would be only certain regions in your brain where there's actual activation. And science knows this. They've done study after study after study on it, and they can't quite figure out why only these areas of the brain are activated and what's the use of the other part of the brain. Okay? The fact of the matter is, you don't think any different than anybody else. Everybody thinks the same way.
Right.
They've got everyone on the planet thinking the same way, so everybody's brains are all activated in the same region.
Right. It's true. It's true. Everybody's pretty much in an aspect of fear. And
Survival.
Right. Fear,
Surviving.
and competition, and a lot of self-loathing. A very high percentage of human beings walking on this earth ship do not feel good about themselves. They don't think they're worthy of things. They don't think they're empowered. They're victims, and they've got circumstances in their lives that is supporting this truth and this theory for them. Of course, they don't realize they're creating the situations to support that attitude by having that attitude. That is extraordinary. That's extraordinary, because your life is going to demonstrate the way you feel about yourself and your general attitude towards thought, period. This transfers itself in the body. So your body is a physical, thought, actualized costume. The way you think and the way you feel gets transferred through the circulatory system as a frequency and transfers your body into an exact chemical and energy frequency demonstration of the way you feel about yourself and about the world. Okay? So your body starts to break down. It causes chronic conditions and diseases, injuries, pain in different regions of the body. Different forms of thoughts on different subject matters can hold and house themselves in common areas of the body. Hips, back, shoulders, arthritis, autoimmune diseases, even Alzheimer's and dementia. All of this comes back to a lot of self-loathing, a lot of judgment against yourself, unworthiness. It's amazing, right?
Well, yeah, the other thing is that human beings say, well, it's too complicated to be thinking all the time. What do you think you're doing?
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
What do you think you do all day long?
Yeah, you're mostly doing this when you're processing fear-based thoughts. Most of the time you're processing them unconsciously. Your subconscious mind has a tendency to be just like a tape recorder, and it regurgitates the same thoughts over and over and over again. You don't even realize it. What happens is you become preoccupied with your chronic conditions and your diseases because they're painful and because they're extremely limiting. And so you're focusing on your limitation, which causes more limitation and compounds the issue. You think it's a bad thing. Now you're judging your opinion of yourself, and that compounds the issue, right? And everything in your life just seems to be one disaster after the next. You can't keep a job. You can't keep a relationship. Your finances are just constantly being sucked out of you. You just have bad luck. I bought a car and it's a lemon. I can't, my landlord suddenly sold the house underneath me. My dog died. My cat died. I got robbed. Okay? And you're like, my God, everything in my life is a shit zone. We say,
well,
that's how you feel about yourself.
Yeah,
and they go, what?
But it goes even beyond that. The programming that's on television.
Yes, thank you for that.
The programming that you listen through, your devices.
And the company that you keep.
The company that you keep, the conversations that you have with other people. Have you ever noticed in today's world how angry everybody gets?
Yeah, and where you live, you know, the competitive, high density populated areas, the anger, the rushing, the stress. Here's the other thing. When you are in low frequency, you're so vulnerable to even more low frequency. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you almost don't have a fighting chance. Talk about being kicked when you're down. Okay, I've already got a low frequency about me, and then all of this other stuff takes place, which brings your energy down even more, and then even more stuff takes place, and you're like, oh my God, I'm in a rabbit hole at this point. I can't climb my way out. You get one positive, tiny little niblet of something possible happening, and that just gets ripped apart, you know, from you.
Well, there's no way that anybody who controls anything is going to let you or anybody else have any pleasure.
No, because the minute that you start gaining your empowerment, they are at risk of losing you.
That's right. They're going to cut you off.
Yeah. And of course, an extraordinary thing happens when everything in your life starts to really go wrong, or perhaps it's always been that way. You know, you've grown up in a household where there's sickness and chronic conditions and lack, okay? And, you know, the family has fallen apart and there's abuse in the family. And, you know, you're already in this energy field. And this is generational victimhood. Generational victimhood, trauma, illness, and chronic conditions. You don't know how to think differently. You're constantly surrounded with the problems of your family. You attract all of these people that have problems. I mean, this is the quintessential law of attraction that people don't even realize that they're doing. And of course, you seek help from, you get locked into prescription medication. That brings your energy down. It's a disaster, okay? And what's interesting is people will usually try every other version of toxicity to fix things. Every other version of toxicity to fix things. It doesn't get any better. And then they might finally hear some weird little quote from Buddha, you know, or some weird conversation from somebody at a bookstore, okay? And they're like, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that the way I think and the way I feel about myself could be the cause of all of these problems in my life? And bing, the light has just been turned on. And you're like, no, wait. There's no way I would do that to myself. And we're like, no. Listen to what we're saying. This is the first clue about how empowered you are as a being. And you've never been that. But if you look at your life, and let's say this is true, let's say that the reason your life is a complete shit show is because of the way you think. That should be magic to you, right? Because that means you can change the way you think. That is empowering. That is empowering. But how do we go about doing it? How do we go about doing that? Okay? Everything that I've patterned in my life, everything that I'm surrounded with, and my circumstances are certainly so dire that from the moment I wake up in the morning to the moment I go down at night, everything is supporting the way I used to think. How do we even begin? Right? So you begin by investigating some programming, some conversations like this. And it leads you to listening a little more often. It leads you to listening maybe a little bit every day. And then taking what you're listening to and thinking about that a few times during the day.
Take into consideration, what do you do on a daily basis? What programming do you listen to every day? Do you have a certain radio station that you listen to as you're driving in your car? Is that radio station controversial? Is that radio station uplifting? What is it? What is it doing to you as you are traveling from point A to point B? When you get home at night, what kind of programming do you watch on your television?
Also, what kind of conversations are going on around you?
Yeah, what conversation do you
go
and
to
your
work
friends?
and people are bitching and moaning and fighting and arguing. You're walking right into this
all
energy.
that, and you attract that,
Yeah.
and it affects you just like your energy affects them.
But the other thing we want to support wholeheartedly is your habits of the way you're eating, what you're drinking, and what you're taking in your body.
That's a byproduct.
It's all energy related.
If you don't feel good about yourself, you're going to run down to the local fast food store and just shove food in you, thinking that that's going to solve your issue.
Right.
Because that's the easiest thing, and it's the most economical, and it's the most easy way to get satisfaction.
There's 3 things that contribute to your chronic conditions, diseases, and your life. The primary one are your thoughts and your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the activator of anything genetic in your body that has any form of limitation. It can cause it to become activated and then become part of your world. So your thoughts and your emotions are one component. The other component is what you're putting in your body. The level of toxicity that you're putting in your body is number 2. And number 3 is your environmental conditions. Whether you're exposed to a lot of poisons, toxicities, and things like that. Those 3 things in combination of each other cause all the downfall in your life. From your physical body eroding to everything about your energy field. Everything about your energy field. Okay? So back to the question as we started. What causes your energy to be? It's those 3 things. First and foremost, your thoughts and emotions. Secondly, what you're putting in to this body of yours on a toxic level. And number 3, the toxic environment that you're swimming in, and all of that. So to change your life.
I was going to say, but because people are going to say, well, how in the world am I supposed to live in where I'm living and pay my bills and pay for a house and pay for a car and do all of these things? How am I supposed to do that and still be able to function as a human being?
Right. You've got to clean up your energy. You've got to clean it up, because here's what has also been proven. The toxic stuff that you put in your body affects your brain or the way you think. So if you're trying to change the way you think, but you're eating fast food and you're drinking energy drinks and you're smoking and you're drinking alcohol and you are taking drugs of any kind, okay? And you're trying to change the way you think, but the toxicities and the poisons that you're putting in your body are triggering fear-based and paranoia and judgmental components of the brain. They literally figured this out. So they literally put these chemicals in this stuff to keep you in fear, and you're on a hamster wheel.
And it's the most affordable.
Yeah.
It's the most affordable food byproduct.
So interesting.
That you know, like I said, you go to the fast food store because it's the cheapest way to eat.
And here's the other thing. All of those things, the energy drinks, the fast food, they have chemical mechanisms
They're adding chemicals
that
to them.
trigger addiction in your brain.
Yeah.
So it causes you to crave those things, need those things. So you're taking an overabundant amount of those. We're not saying that you can't run out and have a hamburger once every couple of months, but if you aren't careful, you'll notice you'll crave this shit, okay? And you're saturating yourself with all of this poison toxicity. And you try to get away from eating that, and you'll go mad. You'll get angry. You'll get reactive. You ever tried to cut yourself off of sugar? It's like heroin. It's like heroin. Oh my God. Caffeine. Okay? And we authentically want to represent this. There are natural herbs and elixirs that come directly from the earth that are good for you and do not harm you in their organic, raw form. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about caffeine, because most of the caffeine in your drinks have been chemically altered and amplified to include all kind of addictive behavior and all kind of basically amphetamine type of reactions to the body. If you stick to organic coffees and teas, have a cup maybe or two in your day, you're pretty much okay to go. You start pounding down energy drinks, you start pounding down, it's hard to say it, Starbucks coffee, all of the injectable coffees and the Keurig
I was going to say the little injectable cups, man, they've got formaldehyde in them.
Yeah.
And you're literally injecting that into your system.
And you can't think.
No.
You can't think rationally.
No.
You can't. Okay? We don't need to get on a high horse about a plant-based diet versus an animal protein diet, but all we'll say is all of those animals that you are ingesting are in fear and trauma and terror before they're ripped apart and torn apart in a slaughterhouse. And the way that the dairy products are extracted and basically stripped mined out of these animals, that energy gets transferred into those products and you're consuming that. That's a truth, whether you want to believe it or not, it's a truth, and so that contributes to you, okay? And everybody's going to go, oh, I eat organic chicken, and we're like, there's nothing that's been treated worse on the planet than a chicken, and if you don't even need to get into how that works, but it's just a truth. And your environment. So when you want to make changes in your life, and you're brave enough to make changes in your life, man, it takes bravery.
I was going to say, it's a lot of work, isn't it?
You are going to wake up one morning and say, I've had my guts full of it. I've had my guts full of it.
And isn't that usually the tipping point? You have to get to a point in your life where you're just fed up with all of it.
I have got to take this into my own hands. And everybody that is around you is going to fight you on it. Let's just go to McDonald's for lunch. Everyone's going to call you. Aunt Mary's in an abusive relationship, and blah, 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 and you're at work, and everybody hates each other, and you're like, oh my God, okay? And you start deciding that you're going to start making changes. And you're going to start listening to positive, affirming, empowering programming. And you're going to let that start to seep in. You're going to start doing healthful practices, meditations, yogas. You're going to change your diet. You're going to change the environment that you're in. Usually for most people, maybe a little bit at a time. Well, I'm changing this in my life, but I'm really addicted to power drinks, so I'm going to keep. And we're like, you know, you need to really incorporate those three. You want to see full changes in your life, you have to include the three. You have to include the three. Just one out of the three isn't probably going to make that many changes. It will help a little bit, maybe at least enough to inspire you to make the other two, okay? But we guarantee that you attack those three mechanisms. And what are they? The way you think and feel.
The way you think.
Your what you're putting in your body on a toxicity level, and the environment that you're in. If you are brave enough to tackle all of those simultaneously, and you've got lucky enough to have a support system around you to do it, your life will change. It just will. If you do just one at a time, it's going to be pretty slow going. you're going to fall off the wagon. So this takes a lot of strength, right? A lot of strength. But the great thing is there's programming out there like ours and like so many others out there
It's
to
not
help
just
you.
our programming. I mean, we're going to continue to bombard everybody with our programming, whether they like it or not. But there are there's practitioners all over this world that are teaching people how to better their lives. Even if it's just through yoga or breathing exercises or stretching,
Yeah.
eating good food.
Here's the other thing you're going to discover about yourself. You're going to discover how powerful you
You
are.
start changing the way you feel.
I can make these changes
Yeah.
in my life. Now that gets a little scary for people. It does. That's a whole nother subject. And in fact, we're going to carry this conversation over into the next Xpnsion Sunday. We're going to have JC make a notation on this. We're going to talk about why it's so scary for you to make those changes, right? And how to get past some of your fears on that, because that is very common, very common. It's fine for us to sit up here and talk about this because we already do this in our lives and it's all just fine and dandy. But when these people are so fear-based in their life, how do they even get rid of the fear of change? That is another subject, right?
Yeah.
We want to wish everybody an expansive Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And love and possibility and joy and fulfillment in your life. You can make these changes. You're the only one who can make these changes.
You're the only one.
Right.
And you know what? You might be arguing that this is just way too complicated, but at some point you will understand and you will want to make a change in your life.
Right. We want to invite everybody to visit our website, expandwithjulius.com, and check out our programming and a lot of Julius's programming and teachings to support you in all of the resistant areas in your life. We press onto you love and honor and light and extraordinary. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next weekend.
Yeah.
Right? Thanks, everyone.